Welcome back to the Compound Podcast. This is episode 98.
Seven?
8.
Tom?
90.
Tom?
97.
97. Yeah, 97. We're only 3 away from episode 100 where we're going to do something really cool. We just don't know what that is. And it's brought to you by Parse Rum. Just like all the other episodes, it's brought to you by Parse Rum. You can find Parse at your local Binny's in Illinois. We named the places that you can get it in New York last time, in Texas, Specs. And
we're not saying it again. You have to go back and listen to the end of last episode because I don't remember the answer. So go and listen.
We have a very special guest, Talkin Jake, our Jomboy Media friend.
3 episodes now in a row?
What did I say?
A turkey. He said it was a turkey. That is a turkey.
And I said, if I got a text Tuesday, things would start happening. It's all it takes.
Well, and Zach stepped up against all odds.
By the way, I stepped up earlier in the year when we had Donaldson on too.
Yeah, that's true. You did. The Donaldson one was out of nowhere too. Out of nowhere, we got Donaldson.
Have some respect, would you?
You don't get enough credit on this pod, huh?
I don't. It's honestly me and Tom. It's sad.
Dakota wasn't get credit.
So
I don't do
You get plenty of credit. Dakota, you get too much credit. That's what he's saying.
What? I don't do anything. Why would I get credit? I could get the only person I know, and I thought of this the other day, the only person that I could possibly get, and I don't want to put this out there in case I can't get him, but I do know Brian Allen, who is the starting center for the Rams.
It's probably a tough week to have him on right now.
No, I'm not next week, right? I'm saying, I don't know. We could get a guy that plays in the Super Bowl, Super Bowl champion.
Are you rooting
Matt Stafford's hands right up under him?
Are you rooting hard for him because you know him? Are you a Rams guy now?
I'm rooting for Stafford, but yeah, we hung out a little bit in college. Me and Brian Allen, no big deal. I know. I basically am on the Rams.
That's right. I was going to say that. I forgot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is there anything you guys would like to talk about before this interview? Do you want to give your Super Bowl preview predictions?
I was just going to say that there probably won't be a season this year. You can everybody buy the MILB package. You're like I'm scabbing. Is that scabbing? What if the minor leagues has a season? Am I scabbing if I play in it?
I think there's a dip. I think the minor leagues can be fine. And the AAA is 150 games this year. I saw
Des Moines, Iowa. I'm coming home. Don't worry.
Did you see the AAA went to 150?
Yeah, and they got electronic strike zones.
No, only for I think it's not everybody, right?
I don't know who it's for, but we're screwed. Well, hitters are screwed for the top of the zone. They don't realize how tall it is, but in and out, we are screwed as pitchers. 150 in the minor leagues to line up better. I don't know who made that decision, but those extra 8 games are tough. Well, how many was it this year? Because they added 2. I don't even know how many it ended up being.
They added 10 more, so whatever.
But I don't think it was like one. I don't even know how many.
Play in April, or we didn't play in March or April.
It used to be 142.
It was 144. I thought
it was 144.
It was 144, and then the big leagues was 162 is what it used to be.
That's not right. That can't be right.
Or no, it was 140. It was 140 and 162. It was 140. It was 140.
40?
Final answer.
The MLB posted a hiring notice for the following teams to get automated ball strike systems: Albuquerque, Charlotte, El Paso, Las Vegas, Oklahoma City, Reno, Round Rock, Sacramento, Salt Lake, Sugar Land, and Tacoma.
Literally every stadium where the ball absolutely flies.
But that sucks because we don't play them, and those are all the cool places.
Those are all the cool places.
Those are all the cool cities.
How many games was the AAA season before?
It used to be 140, and now it's 150. I'm 100% sure. 100%.
That's like 500% sure.
I'm literally positive.
Could be 142.
And we spent some time there. Okay, we would know.
I've spent more than some time there. I'm a vet. I'm a salty vet. But yeah, for the Super Bowl, Ian, I don't know. Someone said it was like the most likable quarterback matchup of all time, which is very true.
Can you give your score prediction, please?
As we recall, me and Tom were both very close on our Natty Championship, so I got to be good here. I'm going 30-24 Rams.
I got 35-21 Rams.
That's two. There's no field goals in there.
Just touchdowns.
All right. Tom?
I think they're going to win by 2 scores.
Rams win 26-21.
I hate how many of us are taking the Rams. Ian, you have to take Cincy.
I'm going 20-13 Cincinnati.
Ian loves the low scoring. Or you went
I went
really
high
high.
scoring,
You
so
went
now I'm
really
going low
high for the
scoring.
natty.
Hey, does Joe Burrow get sacked double-digit amount of times?
Aaron Donald might actually murder him.
Oh, and then don't forget about Von Miller.
And they have Leonard Floyd, who's also
And
very
they have
good.
Leonard Floyd.
And the Gaines, big white dude in the middle, 91. He's good too. So good
luck
luck
there, Joey.
And then, oh wait, you have Jamar Chase. Well, Jalen Ramsey's guarding Jamar Chase. So, but that's the thing. I mean, it's been like that the whole playoffs.
I had a conversation today. I was like, I was way wrong the last 3 weeks. So what the fuck do I know?
Yeah, I mean, the Bengals might go out and win 45-0. It wouldn't surprise me after watching them go and beat the Chiefs.
With confidence is scary.
20-13.
Scary.
I had multiple texts last week that said like, "Thanks for coming out, Bengals. Like, see ya.
Yeah.
Like, wins the NFC Championship game on because this one's like shit like that." And I'm an idiot.
Football.
Ian's a Cincy guy.
I'm a Cincy guy. Yeah, I'm a Cincy guy.
Yeah,
I
hey,
picked
you can
Cincy
claim
because
that
I'm a
as
Cincy
one of
guy.
your 6 teams.
No, I can claim them.
Mm-hmm.
Some people think I was born there. So I'm a big Cincy guy. 2013 Cincinnati. Joe Burrow is going to be the most famous man in the country, and
He might already.
that's my call.
He might already be because it's like everyone's rooting for him. Everybody loves him.
Wait, Ian, what's your score? I think you just changed.
20-13.
Okay, all right.
Always has been, always will be. Could have
Did
been.
you mark him
different when I
down,
said it
Tom?
A couple minutes ago.
I didn't, but I thought he just said 20-16. If I was, maybe I.
Oh, we got controversy. No, he said 2013, but
I will claim. I will now claim both of those scores, whichever is right. Let's get to the interview. It's a pretty long interview. I think it felt long. We talked a lot after we stopped recording too, so I don't know how much of it is actual record. Most of it.
Like an hour.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's really long. So we should get to it. And we also did our Sloan screen time with him, which was absolutely fantastic. Shout out Sloan. Shout out Sloan screen time. I had the low screen time.
You had half of second place. It wasn't even close.
Also, shout out to Parse Rum and shout out to Talkin Jake for coming on. Here's the interview.
I hope you keep that every time, Tom, where he's like,
I'll start doing that. I have not kept that.
We have the infamous Talkin Jake joining the Compound Pod. I'm actually surprised that you haven't. This is the first time that you've joined the pod.
Super Bowl week. I get it. It's time to roll out the guns. So I'm here. I'm excited.
How do you feel that Plouffe was on before you were on?
Noodle, chill out. Noodle's pissed about it. I'm man, Trev's whatever, dude. Trev's show and all that. But it's fine. I get it. Like, and wasn't there not beef? But did something happen with you guys and Trev, or he said he was gonna come on? I'm blanking.
There was beef. There was a couple of different beefs, I think. He said he was gonna come on, and then we kind of had to push it a couple weeks. And then there was also the wine bottle that I still haven't gotten.
Really?
Not going to throw shade there, but there was that. And then there was other beef. I think it was more talking baseball beef, though, about when you guys came after the Go Tigers. But that was more
okay.
Jimmy.
Well, that was also, there was also when Sequence did their top plays of the day, they didn't mention Zach was a coworker and had him second. That was, and after a great play, that was tough as well.
There's just a lot of beef that the compound has generally with,
But like, can you blame the guy? He's like best friends with like Matt Stafford now, isn't he? Is he just hanging out with them?
So I'll say this because unfortunately I do genuinely like Trevor Plouffe. I wanted, every fiber of me wanted to not to, play third base. Third base was like, that was, growing up, third base had my heart. Scott Brocious, hot corner. And, beautiful wife, beautiful family, lives in the hills. And yeah, unfortunately, he's a good dude. And I will say this to give ourselves a little, because we like to taste ourselves. He has been loving, like, okay, you're the third baseman for the Twins. You know, Trev could walk around Minnesota, and I'm sure he got it. Hey, how are you? Oh, Trevor. Oh, can we get a picture with you? All that. Now that, you know, Jomboy Media, a little national, he's going to the airports and he's getting a little, hey, how are you? Or he's in different parts of town and he's like, you know, he'll send, again, I'll air it all out. I told you guys this. He'll if he mentions something like that, he'll send it in the invisible ink. So you got to erase it on the text message to see it. And he'll be like, you know, just got recognized at my kid's football practice. Not a big deal. And I'm like, good, Trev. Good. Like, let's go.
I think us having you on is going to get us some of that national attention. We're more regional. Here. We're in the Midwest.
Ian, you could go anywhere and be noticed.
That's so not true. That's the opposite of true.
In Texas, you've never been noticed as Ian Happ.
I have been, but just because Cubs fans are everywhere, not because
exactly
we have a national presence. It really is amazing how regional baseball is. And I thought, let's keep talking about Plouffe because I think this whole episode should be about him. But he tweeted that he went to his kid's baseball practice and asked him if they knew any baseball players. And it was like, what, it was Mookie Betts. One kid knew Mookie Betts, and then one kid, his son, knew him. Like, that was it. It was like, what are we doing?
And I love that Trev probably definitely, like, he opened up the first day of practice with, like, I did play baseball. I want you kids to know. And that just went out there. No, man. I mean, it's Happer. We talked about it in Chicago a little bit because I was curious because I, you know, as this thing has grown, I've had a couple fun ones. When things were early getting started, I was at a Vegas pool party for a bachelor thing. This was like Talkin Yanks only. And a kid, like, it was early. I was there with a group of, you know, it was like 12 ugly dudes. So we had to be the first ones there. And this guy, like, comes trudging across the pool. And he's like Talkin Jake. And I was like, let's go. All my buddies, like, blew their mind. But yeah, man, it's that's always a good time when that happens. But it's so funny with baseball because it's the closer we get to a baseball stadium now, that's the hot spot. Like if we had our heat charts, I mean, baseball stadium, obviously. And it's, you know, I don't have to tell you guys, but especially for me, it really clicked when I was living in Denver because, like, they love the Rocks, man. Like, they really do. Like, that's a great sports town. They love the Broncos. They love the Avalanche. They love the Nuggets. They love the Rockies. And the Rockies had studs, dude. Arenado, Blackman. Like, these guys are like, it's not just like, oh, good for the Rockies. Like, those dudes were studs. And, but it was so funny. You know, you leave Denver and, like, I think Arenado could have walked the streets of a lot of cities and just be like, oh, that's okay. You know, nice goatee like me sometimes, but that's about it.
I feel like baseball in general, though, guy, like the main, like Mike Trout probably gets noticed just about anywhere. But like really, like you said, like Arenado and guys like that, like they could probably walk into most supermarkets and people wouldn't know who they were.
Just a little tip of the hat for the people that know. But yeah, and it's I don't know. I've heard you guys talk about it on here a little bit, and I flip-flop on it because it would be cool to have obviously more national guys. Like you turn on, it's what the NBA is incredible at. That like, okay, if I say there's a Portland game, you know, I think everyone in here knows like, okay, so we'll see some Dame, like, you know, even like McCollum, you know, and you could do that with almost any NBA team where baseball needs some of that. And that's where I've become a balance. I don't know if it's a balanced schedule, but every team should play every team because that's the best way to see all the players. Because if you're a Cincinnati Reds fan, you're a Cincinnati Reds fan. So if they played the Yankees and you saw Aaron Judge and he hit a 475-foot home run, that sticks in your head. Zach Short makes the diving double play. You're like, what? This guy? And you're like, all right, let's go. I'm a Shorty fan. So I I think that's how baseball can reel it in nationally a little bit, but they also need to lean into the local stuff because it just is like it just is. So like embrace that while also trying to get some of the national stuff going.
How do you think this is my local theory for baseball is that blacking out of teams locally is the biggest deterrent to the local fan base in baseball. I hate it. I've talked about it over and over, especially in the Midwest, because not all the cities, but a lot of the cities are really close and the blackouts are so vast. You can be in Iowa blacked out from 7 markets. We've talked about it all the time. Besides fixing the TV blackouts that are an obvious issue, what other, local things do you think from the media side that baseball can address, or what makes it better locally?
I mean, blackouts again, can't say that, but I'll just add when I was in Denver, like, we're doing the Talkin Yank stuff. Things are starting to go like where there'd be that end of the day, like kind of breathe. Like anytime you have a big day, whether you're moving a house or you just had a big day at work and you kind of do that, relax. I would go and every time like clockwork, I'd say it was once a week. And I'd be like, you know what? Let me check out the Rocks, MLB TV, blacked out. And I'd be like, what? Like literal brain freeze. Like you're missing out so much. Man, the balanced schedule thing, I stumbled into that a while ago just because also while I was living in Colorado, the Yankees came through once. I was there for like 4 years. So like just think about that. Pujols returned to St. Louis. What was it last year?
Last year?
Mm-hmm.
Last year, the first time in over a decade. Like
crazy.
That's just, I was just because you grow up with it and, pretty big, AL does their thing, NL does their thing. Like, sure, a little interleague. This is fun. And then once I realized what that was doing for the sport, I was just like, that's an easy thing that we can do every year. And, think about some of the good teams that just don't match up every year. And I realized that used to be the allure in the 1950s when you listen to teams on radios. When you listen to teams on radios, and you actually found out like, wow, that guy really is the bee's knees. But it's like, no, man, like let's show everyone off as much as possible. So that's kind of my 1-1.
So you want Story to be able to go back this year to Colorado once he signs with the Yankees and be able to play back there?
Get the round of applause and all of that. I think that would be a beautiful moment for the Yankees and the Rockies. Yes.
I think the DH will help that. I think the DH makes it a lot easier to do a balanced schedule. And then I think if there is an expansion, and we go to 32, everything gets realigned. I think that's when they realign everything and everybody plays everybody. And there's 2 16-team divisions. I think that if we end up expanding at some point, I think that's you just redo everything.
But don't you feel like the biggest thing with travel is East Coast and West Coast? Like the Yankees going to play LA for like, you'd have to play the Dodgers, Padres, like you'd have to knock out all the NL teams over there in one trip.
Yeah, but I think that, you already do it, right? You already do it. The East already has to play the West. It's just in division. So I think they would just do it. Maybe you go once in the first half of the season and once in the second half, and you knock out the AL one side, the NL one side. But it's not perfect like that, but I think that's how you would do it. You would do, instead of having your one long West Coast trip and your second West Coast trip being paired for us, we either get paired with the D-backs or like coming back to Milwaukee. You would do it where you have 2 of those that you have to hit.
Yeah.
And I think the one that was kind of a mental hurdle for me was the Mets and the Yankees. And Shorty can speak on it too, being a New York guy. Like, I think it's funny. Everyone used to bring it up to us, like Yankees Mets rivalry. And maybe it's big brother D-bag crew, but like, it's not a rivalry. Like these teams, they play a couple interleague games a year. It's kind of fun. Like, I always say, like, I would have living in the city now. I would have loved to be living during the Subway Series because that must have been like as cool as it got. And yeah, that was super intense. But otherwise, it's nothing. And I think someone said and I forget if we were talking realignment or whatever, but they were like, the Mets and the Yankees should probably be in the same division. And like, when I first heard that, I was like, no, like that's not baseball. And then I thought about it. I was like, if the Mets and Yankees played 10 games a year and they were in the same division, then like, yeah, that would be an awesome rivalry. So I don't know, but you have to do some serious baseball fan mental gymnastics to get to that.
It's such a good point. You say how they're not really rivals or whatever. I don't see it as that. I could be wrong and I could get some heat for it, but it's like whenever I came home from the season and the Yankees were in it, in the playoffs, I would love, like I was a Mets fan growing up, and I would love when the Yankees were in it because like everybody around New York's wearing a Yankees hat. Everybody at the gym's wearing a Yankees hat, Yankees shirt, whatever. And it kind of just like the buzz around New York is just like, this is kind of sick, like everybody. And I'm like, yeah, it makes everything like when you're home, like you're into every playoff game, especially when they're playing, opposed to somebody on the other coast or whatever.
But isn't there diehard like Mets and Yankees fans that probably get so pissed off seeing all that around the city?
And that's 100%. And that's what I mean. Like I catch heat for it because I know like people say it all the time. It's like, oh, I'd rather do whatever than have the Yankees or Mets win. And I'm just like, yeah, I believe me. I totally understand it. But at the same time, like you said, the big brother, little brother thing, it's just like, listen, we see what's going on.
Because like Jake, you like as a Yankees fan, I'm sure your rivalry is way bigger, obviously, with the Red Sox than it is with the Mets. Like you care way more about going to beat the Red Sox in the ALCS than you would about the Mets in the World Series.
I mean, absolutely. Like I guess if it got to the point where, I guess the thing is baseball just isn't there. Like if the Yankees and Mets linked up in 3 World Series out of 5 years, then you'd be like, yeah, this is insane, but that doesn't happen.
Right. When was the last time that happened? 99, 2000?
I don't, and baseball like just doesn't work that way. So,
no.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I am sure if the Mets won the World Series this year, which by the way, it sucks how far away we've gotten from how awesome the start of their offseason was. If the Mets won the World Series, I bet my Twitter feed and everything would be brutal for about 12 months that I would say, okay, yeah, that did suck a little bit, Mets fans. Good on you. But yeah, I mean, it's not, I mean, the only rivalry in sports that really worked that way was like old Celtics Lakers, but that's because they were linking up for the title like every year.
Right.
So
it's funny how much of a forward thought the World Series is, huh?
Yeah.
One day.
It's kind of what a dream.
I have a point about your last point, but I need to get it. in.
Go.
One of the coolest things about playing in the Central that I think a lot of people don't think about is that, especially the NL Central, everything is so close. So Cubs fans can drive to St. Louis, to Milwaukee, to Pittsburgh, and to Cincinnati. So from the proximity standpoint, like that's one of the coolest things about our division games is we have so many Cubs fans at those games because it's an easy drive. They don't have to get in the plane. Like it's not like Tampa to New York. It's not like Atlanta, up to New York in the East. Like those trips are really far for fans to go. Like that's the Central being so close makes it such an intimate division. And just I've seen it playing, Cubs fans travel well everywhere, but like in division, it's crazy, which I think if they realign to some of those, Northeast or Southeast, some of the proximities got a little closer, I think the fans would really enjoy being able to travel to more games.
Ian, can you talk about, because we talked a lot about Yankees, Mets, White Sox, Cubs is really the only other, I mean, I guess you could say Dodgers, Angels, but the most similar comparison is obviously White Sox, Cubs. And that also, living in Chicago, doesn't quite feel like a rivalry. That feels like, again, White Sox, maybe little brother in that situation, Cubs, big brother. I mean, I'm curious what you think about that. I mean, they made a trade this year. You guys made a trade, which is really kind of shows it's really rival.
Yeah. And
give them some bulletin board material and talk how they're the little brother right now.
Yeah, seriously.
Get some clicks.
There's definitely been the teams have traded back and forth. We got Quintana in 17. we gave Tapera and Kimbrel this year, and obviously got the guys back. But the
Who did we get back, Ian?
we got my good friend Cody and
Nice.
Nick.
Nice, good job. I literally, you're like, we got the guys. I'm like, who'd we get? Let's see if he knows.
But I think it's gone in waves. We've never been. I guess last year was the year that it was like we were the most competitive, where we were really good and they were really good, but there was no fans, so that made it tough. This year we were out of it by the time we played them, and then years previous, I guess 19, they were starting to have some guys playing really well, but we were so dominant for those 3 years, playing really good ball. But there's always a little bit of an air there in Chicago. I think it's a lot more split between South Side and North Side in Chicago. Like in New York, I think it's more kind of all over the place. You do have like the Queens and the Bronx, but then you have fans from different parts of the cities who root for different teams. Like it's really North Side, South Side in Chicago.
Yeah, I would say that's living there. That's the biggest thing I picked up on. As you said, like in New York, it's a little regional. Like Long Island's a little bit more Mets, I would say. I think New Jersey's a little bit more Yankees. I mean, there's different boroughs, but you go North Side, South Side, like that's it in Chicago. If you grow up in a South suburb, you're probably a White Sox fan. If you grow up in the northern suburbs or in Chicago, you're probably a Cubs fan. It seems like.
Yeah, and it's like a pretty decent percentage. Like if you're a Cubs fan from the South Side, it's very rare. If you're a Sox fan from the North Side, it's very rare. So there is especially when both teams are good, there's definitely a buzz around the city when the teams are going to play. But it is in the same way. Like if we played, instead of playing 3 games a year, I think if we played 10, like it'd be really intense. It'd be really intense.
And if it built up to the same side of the playoff run, like we're talking about basically a perfect storm right now for the Cubs and White Sox to have their 3-year window that every sports fan kind of hopes for. Yankees, Mets, like Angels, Dodgers, I don't know. But yeah, it's near. You can't line that up. But if you're in the same side and you're facing off, and that's when you can run 3 straight playoff series. And yeah, Chicago would be nuts.
Absolutely nuts. Exactly. It would burn to the ground. Good question, Tom. I hope there wasn't too much bulletin board information in there. Keep that off there. White Sox are a good team. They're going to be a good team again. They're great. They have great players. And I'm happy for them.
I mean, you don't gotta suck up to them. Like you don't have to go so far the other way. Still a rivalry.
I do still think they have good players, though.
I'd say it's more heated.
We're on the same team here, all right? We're all on the same team, represented by the same union.
Would you agree that today the White Sox Cubs is more of a rivalry than Mets Yankees? Like hatred. Like I feel like they really don't like each other. Like White Sox Cubs still hate each other. I feel like.
I'll say this. I went to Mets Yankees the Sunday night. I think it was Sunday night baseball, the Lindor 3 homer game. I don't know. I wasn't at a Cubs White Sox game this year, but that had some juice. Had some juice.
I could see that.
I think like I said, because this year, like we were out of it. We were done. And they were running away with the Central. So it was like we went and played, but we were just playing ball.
I got Big Dakota. I got something for you. Probably maybe my favorite sporting event I've ever been to in my life. Elite 8, UConn Huskies, Michigan State, Draymond time, Madison Square Garden. The UConn Huskies did end up on top, and that's fine. So, that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. But I will say this, the crowd both ways was just fantastic. It was it had a little extra UConn juice because of proximity, but Michigan State rolled out. They did their thing, and it was just back and forth. It was a beautiful sporting event.
See, you know why they lost that game? I actually grew up a Michigan fan, and when Draymond was there, I hadn't gone to Michigan State yet.
Wow.
So I, at that time, was probably rooting for UConn.
That makes sense. That's
messed up, man.
Oh, I mean, I've completely flipped, but I grew up a Michigan fan. I did. And now I absolutely hate Michigan. And I'm also not the biggest Draymond fan, but he's a good player.
Bulletin board.
Would you like to talk more? Would you like to talk more about that?
No.
All episode
I would
bulletin
not.
board.
I'm not a fan, but I love all their Spartans.
Can we talk a little bit about the beginnings of Jomboy? I don't know that I've heard you guys really like go through it. And I'm a little bit more privy, I guess, to the start of it, but it's been so crazy just for I guess we're almost at a year now that we've been here to see the growth, and then kind of watching it before, especially being in the big leagues and like watching baseball media and like kind of watching Jimmy's breakdowns come onto the scene and everything. Can you just tell us, kind of run us through the backstory of how everything started?
Man, I'll try to, let's see, I'll give myself like 3 minutes on the clock. So me and Jimmy met freshman year of high school, met playing ball, playing baseball. My hometown was pretty spread out, so he lived like 45 minutes away. Sure, he knows these Northeast towns, they're all like you one road to get there, and if it's snowing, you're trapped. But like, yeah, it was kind of tough. My mom literally said people from his part of town, like, don't make friends over there because I'm not driving you back and forth. So fast forward, we're like friends, but nothing crazy. And then his family moved away. So like we loosely kept in touch. I kind of keep in touch with a lot of people, or people I like, whatever. That was a weird phrase. But he moves, but like, it wasn't like we were, he moved to California. It wasn't like I was getting on the plane and miss you, buddy, and tears at sleepovers. So his family moves back to Connecticut. He transferred to University of Hartford, go Hawks. And I was at CCSU, also attached to the Short family. Let's go.
Hey, I was there last night for a fundraiser dinner.
Hard hitting. I guess I missed the email on that one. Whatever. And so that's my 3 minutes is almost up. So we kind of did a home and home. Like so I saw him once over the summer. He was at U Hard, and I was like, yeah, I'll come through, dude. Like, let's rip it up. Junior year. So we were, he was the junior guy on campus that knew nobody, and I was the guy visiting him. So we literally just like walked around campus, like holding beers, like looking at other people party. And I was like, hey, dude, why don't you come to my school? Because I like have friends and stuff. Came through, good time. Couple weeks, he transferred the next semester. Like, neither of us were too locked into our studies. And that's when we really started going. I mean, Jimmy always had a camera. I've always been a little ridiculous, for lack of a better word. And we basically formed our own frat. Senior year, we lived in a house with 11 guys. So we had a lot of fun. And then from there, we were doing the after college, what's life all about? I was working, Jimmy did an extra year, and then he was doing some delivery and some video stuff. I got a job in Dallas. Jimmy moved back out west to see some friends out there. He entered a video school and kind of upped what he was doing there. And then he started doing Yankee stuff just on Twitter, just posting for no one in particular. He hits me up at one point. He's got like, he's gone from 300 to 3,000 followers or whatever. And he was just doing whatever the people asked for. So at one point they asked for a podcast, and literally didn't know what a podcast was. That's my tech world. And he was like, dude, he did 3 by himself, I think. And he was just like, it's weird, just me talking alone. He's like, I need someone to talk to. So for me, it was kind of one of those, like, I was, getting a little older. I was like, even if this is a quirky side hobby or something, it's something I'll look back on and be like, hey, I talk to my buddy for an hour every week about the Yankees. Like, that's, that would be pretty cool. Saw it starting to go. One of our first big moments was a jersey company reached out and was like, if you guys sell 100 jerseys, we'll pay for your spring training trip. We ended up selling like 300 when our following was like 3,000 people. So the hit rate on that was pretty crazy. Jimmy got a little investment to go full time. I had worked my way up in the quote unquote real world a little bit. I was faking it till I made it. And then, that company, just as I say that, kindly told me to stop working for them, which was the right call. Which was the right call. I had lost my juice. I had the climb and do well, and then the division I started working at was just downhill. So I was hitting the course at 2:30 a lot of days. It was good times. The other moment I like to tell is
we're on minute 6 of your 3-minute explanation.
I know, Tom, but
I'm just trying to help you here as the producer.
It's a good story.
It is a good story, Tom. I asked for the story. Tom, stay out of it.
So this is this is my favorite anecdote from my end. So, it's that summer I'd gotten fired, so I'm getting a little unemployment. Life's good. I'm like, from like a year from now, I think this thing will be big enough where I can kind of go full time. We were living in a nice apartment and stuff. Girlfriend, now fiance. I like taking to dinners and stuff. So I was just applying to jobs, and there was a job at Cliff Bar, and I was like, "This is great. I love Cliff Bar." And it was just like a marketing gig across Colorado. So I was like, "Perfect. I'll tour Colorado." Blah, blah, blah. So I apply. Cliff Bar is spelled with 1 F. I spelled it with 2. The whole application. So I was just checked out, dude. I didn't care about anything else. I cared about the Talkin Yank stuff. So me and Jim talked about it. We thought it might be on the radar. I think the first couple months I was getting $300 a month. Was charging some scooters on the side. Those
that's minor league. That's some good minor league money right there.
Yeah, bro. And then I'd say that was right before the playoffs. Next year rolls around. We don't know if we're gonna make it through the off season. We did. The breakdowns and some of the videos start going nutty. We thought this was gonna be like a podcast company, but everything Jim posted on YouTube just to kind of do it. YouTube was kind of stagnant for a long time, and then it started going nuts. I think it went from like 2,000 to 50,000 in like 2 weeks, and then it just kept going and going. And that was huge because we turned YouTube ads on. That was our because we were our sales team, we were everything. So. And then kind of the moments that people are familiar with, the Aaron Boone Savages, obviously the Astros stuff, but obviously those were huge and brought us into some different areas. But I think we were defensive about that at first. I don't think we're as defensive because I do think a big part of it was putting ourselves in position to be there for those moments. Like if we hadn't put it the work until that time and Jimmy does that Houston banging video, maybe only a certain amount of people see it, but because a lot of work had been put up until that point, a lot of that stuff got magnified. So kind of to where we are today, we're like 35, 40 people. If you start counting some of the half points and stuff, got the new office where Tom is. So life's pretty good.
So how many years were you guys doing Talkin Yanks before? Like, what was your first year doing Talkin Yanks?
I think it was 2017 because the baby bombers times were exciting for the Yankees. So yeah, I believe it was just once a week. I forget when we started doing after every series, which is a really good, podcast baseball cycle. And then we started doing 3 a week. I think we were doing 4 a week at one point. And then another, if I was moneyballing this and I got to make myself look good in the movie, because I've always been a sports guy, like, got the golf on in the background right now, NBA teams, NFL, all of it. Jimmy was a Yankees fan, but I could see. So I told him, like, when I went full time, I was like, dude, let's do all of baseball. And he's like, man, I can't. He's like, I can't speak on that. I don't know the other teams, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, I barely either, but like, let's run it. And then once the breakdowns and stuff started taking off, I could see that he was starting to like learn the rest of the league and he was watching other teams. So at one point I gave him like, so what, 2 months still talking baseball. And he gave like a shit eating smirk back. And then right around 2 months later, we started that. And that's Talking Baseball, I think show wise is our biggest show now. So, yeah.
So middle of the season, when everything's rolling, how many episodes a week are you doing between talking baseball, talking Yanks, talking Jake? How many you have, or Wake and Bake? How many do you have? Wake and Jake, Wake and Bake, Wake and Jake.
All of it.
You have like 18 shows.
Yeah, bro. We're a little nuts. I'm good at blinding myself to it. We'll see. I mean, hey, we would love if, this season fully gets announced and all that, so we can map it out a little more. But I think our peak, the one that whenever someone brings it up at, we roll our eyes now, is the pandemic year, because that felt like a make or break year for us. Like, we just got our office in the Bronx. So we just got our first office like January of 2020. COVID hits March, and we're like, fuck, like, what are we going to do? So by the time baseball came back, we did a lot of stuff in the meantime. But when baseball came back, we were like, we're going as hard. Like that Tim Tebow speech where he's like at the podium there, and it's just like his voice is cracking. You've never seen a player go harder. Like, that was us, dude. And we, I think we were recording for 6 hours a day, 6 days a week during the 2020 season. That was the peak.
That's just insane.
Stupid.
Just in front of a microphone the entire day.
Do you have a favorite show you do?
Ooh, man, it's tricky. It is picking between your kids a little bit, We, I will say this: we used to do a watching Baggage. Baggage is this old Jerry Springer, like, trashy TV show, in the best way. I say trashy as a complimentary way. That, man, we used to just there used to be an old ESPN show. I forget it was, but it was the Sklar brothers just making jokes over stuff.
Cheap Seats.
Like, for Cheap Seats. Wow, Tom and one clicks
on the top ring.
That for us, I think that was both of our favorite show, because like literally no prep, no whatever. Like, we're just gonna have fun for the next 30 minutes, and like the show is so ridiculous that almost like it was like we were gonna get punched in the face a couple times. And then Game Show Network shut that down a little bit, but we're talking. That's all I'll say. We're talking. Ooh. We're knocking on the doors with Sony. They're just like, who are you guys? But we're working on it.
That's crazy.
It's that whole story going from normal world to recording one thing to the middle of 2020. You guys were, because we were just starting to talk maybe at the end of that year, middle of that year, because we were just starting to podcast in 2020. Was looking at the space, looking at what you guys are doing, and you're doing 100 shows, and then we start talking kind of at the end of that year, going into the 21 spring, and seeing everything that you guys were doing, putting out. It was like, these guys must never sleep, because we couldn't, when we were going through our stuff, trying to edit and do a video about like our tennis took a full day, and you guys didn't have the infrastructure. You didn't have all of the editors and everything at that point, right? I mean, you just had the office, brought in a couple editors, but it was bare bones.
No, man. And I mean, that's where, if you look at the timeline and everything we're putting out, I mean, that's where Jimmy gets and deserves a lot of the credit, because man, he can go. Like, his on switch is unmatched. I mean, for me, I think I'm more so of the like did 7 years in the world of electrical supply and distribution. So if you tell me, hey, we gotta record we're getting excited. Well, we'd love to get excited. We do our TPPs, team profile and projections, for each team before every season. Like, dude, the way I'm wired, I could do all 30 in 40 hours. Like, that's my lane. Like, you want to go and do that? I'll do that all day. Like, turn on the camera, turn on the mics, let's go. Those need editing and stuff, which not Poppy's strength. And I mean, especially the early days before we had, the guys like Handsome Tom and Dan and Rob and all the beautiful editors in our network. I mean, it was Jim, and he, as Tom could tell you more than anyone, he detailed, thorough, not missing out, not letting stuff go by that shouldn't be addressed. And that's where I think part of the reason we're winning the war, or we've won different parts of the war, is that, if you're just looking in from the outside, for a long time, it was two buddies that were messing around. And like, it was kind of what the spirit of podcasting, right? Like, yeah, me and my buddy yucking it up. This is a good time. But, there was ESPN detail to it, or, kind of past ESPN detail that went into it at the end of the day. So that's part of the secret sauce.
Jimmy at one point, I think, was saying to me that he was editing, I think, like 30 podcasts a week in like late 19, early 20. I mean, that's the dedication before they had everyone else as well. Like, that was just him. He was doing all the shows. And then, because Jake said he's not the editor, Jimmy would go back and edit all those shows with really just kind of BBD. It was like, and then Zach, those are the three people that were editing. It's insane.
I edited ours for a year and wanted to throw my computer a number of times. Didn't know if it would make it through. That was one.
Yeah.
You kept offering it up for us to edit it in, but I didn't trust myself. I was like, I know nothing about it, and it would take me forever.
Dakota was really good with the courtesy offer. Like, no, I could learn, but I don't really know if you would trust me.
See, so maybe I was like, I could try. Like, do I want to? Not really, but like, I could try.
It's
very half-ass offer out of me.
If there was a world where I need to get into the audio side of that, I've seen some of our guys work on that. I could do my best to survive there. I mean, dude, some of the stuff in Premiere that Tom and the boys do, I don't have the soul for it. I wish I did.
Tom stays up till 3:30 editing our podcast.
That's because he's got it. He's got the juice, man. That's me and Jimmy are running low, bro. Now that we're into the 30s, we don't have that anymore.
It also has a little asterisk next to it, but we give him the 3:30.
So talk about the new office. Like, what's next for Jomboy? What's the next step? I know I can't wait during the season to be able to come in, do that. Like, is that one of the big things for this year? Get guys in, get guys to see the space.
Definitely. We when we originally got the Bronx office, A, the price tag was right. B, we still wanted to crush Yankee stuff. Like, we still needed to dominate that space as we grew into baseball. And we're like, this is cool, man. Like, we've got some relationships with some of the Yankees guys, and like, how cool would it be if, Tyler Wade scores the game-winning run, and then, the next day we tell him, hey, you going to the stadium at 1, like, come over at noon, pop by, like, we'll have you on the mic for a second. COVID, I mean, the Yankees aren't great with that stuff. Anyways, once COVID was in, I mean, it was just never happening, which was fine, and that was what it was. But when we got this, we're in downtown Manhattan. Like, we want dudes to come through. And yeah, I mean, the dream is to do like when people come through, come talk to us and do this watch and play this dumb game with us, kind of do the car wash. And I mean, the other thing that ties into that is like, we're trying to hire a ton of people. Like, if you guys got people, let us know.
Hey, I have 2 people in those applications already. So
good. We need them. We got, do we want names on the pod? I don't know.
Gonna say
that puts a lot of pressure. Pressure.
What if they don't get it?
I'll tell you offline, so I don't.
Yeah. So okay. No, that's the safer. But no, man. I mean, I don't need any bulletin board material like Ian's already thrown out there. Lot of clicks, dude. Like, me and Jim have done a lot, and we're still gonna do a lot. But we hired Jolly Olive. He's a Mets guy. He does videos. Our guy Joe's McFly is like so fucking funny. Like, he's going to be a superstar of the world. He's like heading up our gaming, but he can also just do anything. But we people are people are scared to say Barstool because that means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But I will say, content wise, like in our office, like we just want different people mixing up ideas. And, kind of one of our go away lines is just like anything. Like if you're into cooking and you're making cooking content, like come through, we'll make that work. Like if you're doing any type of content that you think like we can help promote that and you're a part of like our atmosphere and anything we do, like we can make that work. Like everyone used to always ask like, okay, so are you guys going to do every team? And that's really hard because you got to find like 30 people that fit your voice as a company. So it's hard. And the other thing is, and I'll give you guys some love, and it's part of the reason we were locked into the compound, is you got to be doing it. We get so many DMs that are like, I've never done anything, but I'm a big Jets fan. And it's like, man, like, I can't walk up to Yankee Stadium and be like, I'm a star center fielder, throw me out there. Like, that's just not how it works. So it's tough. I mean, we're sorting through stuff now. We got a couple cool people, but we also, when you talk about overlying goals, like we don't want to just be baseball. Like baseball will be part of our roots. I love baseball, but I love sports. Like if there's, if we could start tying it in, hey, Super Bowl coming up, like, all right, football crew, I'll meet you out there. Like, let's go. Like, all right, Masters is coming up. Where's my golf guy? So I love sports. Jimmy, I mean, that dude loves everything. He loves to read. He loves movies, music. So I think we can grow into whatever, man. So it's exciting and a little daunting. Every time we hit one of the next check marks, then the next one gets bigger and harder to attain. So I guess that's the game we're in.
Who's your NFL team?
I'm a Broncos guy. They're my odd one. I grew up when TD and Elway were doing it. I wore a Terrell Davis jersey every year in my middle school yearbook picture. So yeah, it's so funny that guys are so dumb. Like when I first moved to Denver, a couple of my buddies were like, "Bro, you're Broncos," and I'm like, "Yeah, well, there was a job out there, and Denver's known for some other stuff. It wasn't just so I could be around the Broncos, but yeah, they are out there."
Just trying to get closer to the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, exactly. As close as you can get.
Third down back.
I was the guy that texted Jake and was like, dude, it'd be so cool if you had a golf podcast. It's like, well, you're not doing any golf podcasting, man. It's like, oh, that's a good point. I barely
Ian would talk on that for hours, though.
I would talk about the game with like basically ancillary watching of golf every 3 weeks.
Bro, I'm hooked on a one and done. I think I might have told you at one point, but we've got a buddy who started a one and done league, and then they basically said like, tell all your other buddies and you just got to pick one golfer a week. It's like the easiest lift, and you're just so committed to the one person that you either love them or hate them for the year.
They missed a cut and that guy's dead to you.
Oh, Troy Merritt is dead to me. I hope he's not listening. He just had a good tournament, so he's probably happy.
He played really well.
Just had a good tournament, but
he picked him the wrong week.
Last year he skunked me. My guy Matsuyama, a stud. So yeah, that's kind of the beauty of it. You love or hate guys instantly.
Yeah,
it's so good.
It's like fantasy football. Like if you have a guy going off like Cooper Kupp, you're like, oh, I love Cooper Kupp. He's my favorite player
forever.
Yeah,
forever.
Okay, 5 minutes. How do you fix baseball so that we can play this year?
Oh my God.
Put you on the timer.
Okay.
I actually just listened last week.
Hire Jake as the arbiter.
I wanted to mediator, not arbitration.
Sorry.
Your take on F4 as a measure was fucking fantastic.
What did I say?
You guys were talking about how WAR. You basically read about how WAR changes every year. The comments from Baseball Reference WAR guy about like, yeah, if you use our war or anybody's war, it's constantly changing and adapting. How were you going to pay guys based on war? I thought that was a great take.
Yeah, are we gonna back pay guys if their war changes as war gets updated? Like I don't know, man. It's crazy, and I don't want to tap out by doing the like normal like I don't know enough. Like I don't know. I'm around it and I can spit out some ideas. Arbitration itself is insane. It's the weirdest thing. It's arguably the weirdest thing in team sports is that we have the players literally go man up against their own team to try to figure out the price tag. Like what are we doing? Literally, like, I hate always referencing Yankee stories, but with some of those Yankees tales, like I think Dylan Betances, I think there was like he got like genuinely sad as a human by what the Yankees, his team said about him.
Yeah.
Like think about that. Like, and literally as we evolve to get to, a lot of the mental stuff that we now appreciate in sports, like if we're being honest, arbitration probably has to go. But like, if we threw that out on the table, we're not playing baseball till 2025. So I don't know, man. I think for me, the two obvious things are the players want to get paid earlier, and that makes so much sense because if you're looking at the return from young guys, like it's A plus B equals C. And then it's, the other secret, I think the owners' number one thing is they want expanded playoffs. And that hurts a lot of baseball fans at their core. And I get it. It's part of the reason baseball is special by playing the 162 that it adds up to that. But I also get how money works. And the thing that really opened up me and Jom's eyes, I forget who we were talking to, but they said, the owners are dead set on more playoffs because the other leagues have more percentage of teams get in. And I was like, what? Like, how is that a way you measure your sport? But I guess if you zoom out and you think about it as like a business thing, then that makes more sense. And I don't know, like I've come to grips with there will be more playoffs. And I think there's going to be a right way and a wrong way to do it. You need to reward the better teams, whether that's with a bye or whatever that is. So I think baseball will figure that out at some point, but I don't have to tell you guys there's a negotiation that needs to get there. And I don't know, man, like this last weekend of tweets has been kind of what I've been expecting all along. We'll see if next week's Tuesday through Thursday or whatever makes anything pretty, but I don't know. It's Jomboy Media as a party has talked to both sides, the MLB and the Players Union, and it seemed like we were going to end up where we are today. So I don't know.
You guys are the number one labor pod though, but
thank you.
There's some funny things there. Just what you said about like that it hurts fans, the expanded playoffs. Like it's like tough to swallow because you play 162 to get there. And that's why that's why the games are so, that's why you play 162 in baseball, because every game matters. September is like exhilarating the whole way because guys are fighting for it all the way down. And you get your heart broken after 162, like missing the playoffs by a game, or like even what we did in 18 and getting to have to play having to play 163, having the Brewers come up our ass and have to play 163, get bounced out of that, and then get bounced in the wild card. And it was fucking heartbreaking. But that's baseball. And you would be fucking floored with the owners. Our fans want expanded play. Our fans are telling us they want expanded playoffs. I haven't talked to many of those fans. I don't know. I don't know if I've talked to them.
Those fans might be cousins of theirs. I don't know. Like I've come to grips with it. So like I'm not even the right baseball fan to talk to, just because I'm like, oh, like those owners see the other sports owners. And for me, it would just be doing it right, because you want it to matter. And I think that's like the wild card right now is pretty messed up. I mean, one game. Like it's insanity. I've seen the Yankees do a few of them now. It's as bad. It's as entertaining as a sports watch, probably from outside of fanhood. Inside of fanhood, it's absolutely brutal. It's it's like a year. It's a year in your history that goes into one night. I could not imagine it as a player. I don't see that coming up for me anyways. But yeah, man, I just, the sports person in me and the business person have collided, where I do think there's going to be a day where it happens. I'm not pressuring anything at the table now, but like, just reward teams for being good. Like that's the nature of sports. And right now it doesn't feel like there's enough of that. So I don't know if we're going to have a bunch of teams playing 3-game series eventually or whatever the hell it is, but like, reward the teams that excel, because that's the goal, and teams should try to get to that goal. God,
it's such a backwards. There's so many things in baseball that are so different from other sports. The fact that the worst team that makes the playoffs can beat the best team, or the worst team in the league can beat the best team any given day. And then you have the fact that the hottest team when they get to the playoffs, not necessarily the best team, is going to have the best chance. And when you talk about salaries and arbitration, you have the lowest league minimums of any of the 4 major sports, with a group of players that probably got paid between 2 and 5 years before when they got drafted, and then haven't been paid since. You don't get drafted and get your rookie contract and, get sent right to the big leagues. You grind a little bit, and some guys more than others, and then you make it. And you have the lowest league minimum of any league of the 4 major sports. And then you have one of the shortest careers and the highest percentage of guys on that league minimum. And when you put all those things together, it's just such a unique pot. And then you look at other sports for answers, and you're going, wait a minute.
I heard a stat the other day of what percent of guys in the league were on their rookie contracts and like league minimum, and it was like alarming.
It's like 70. It's like
that
60. It's over majority.
Crazy to think about.
Yeah, and then you look at a system with tiered minimums where you would have a minimum for first year, second year, third year guys, and you think that guys wouldn't be manipulated back to what that first year salary is. That there wouldn't be choices made between your first year and your third year guy. It's crazy. I mean, those are the situations that you're running into all the time, because it is a business at the end of the day, unfortunately. And there are business decisions made every day that affect guys' lives and careers. So when you're looking at this thing and trying to project how all of these rules are going to be used, you have to look at that side of it, because it's such a business.
The one that was really the eye-opening one for me, I don't know how much Tom's professed his love for Mike Tauchman on here, but he was kind of a Mike Tauchman guy for me. Cubs, Jonathan Holder, when he was on the Yanks, he came up and he was just an absolute buzzsaw, man. He'd dot his fastball, slider was nice. What was his, back-to-back years, ERA in the 3s, 60 games, a 3.14, and like one day he got lit up. So if you cut that out, like, Jonathan Holder was lights out a year for the New York Yankees in, decent leverage situations. Comes back the next year, 2019, gets knocked around a little bit after I said some tweets like he should be closing for the Royals. Anyways, so he comes back for the Yankees. He's all right. And then they let him go in ARB because his salary was jumping up to, I think, like a little over $1 million. And for the Yankees, the math equation there became, okay, we can keep Jonathan Holder, or we could pay half the price and take a run at like 3 guys coming out of our minor leagues, and one of them probably clicks. So when you lay that out business-wise, I get it, but it also sucks for the sport. Like, that's a guy who... He's a major leaguer. He was on the Yankees for 5 seasons before that. And now if we're circling it back to keeping fans and stuff, like, they know that guy, or they've learned that guy. And like, the personalities in the guys is what allowed us to be successful as a company, because we made them their personalities and Brett Gardner banging the roof and all that crap. Like that's people feel connected to it. And that's like what works. And baseball is kind of sprinting away from that.
And you have a team like the Yankees that have such a good fan base. And one of the reasons is they're one of the few franchises that year over year has brought guys back, has spent money to keep a guy like Brett Gardner, maybe pay him more than some of the other franchises would say that he's worth because they know the value of that for their team and their fan base. But now you have these penalties that are so severe where the Yankees run into the CBT for 3 years. They have to reset so they don't get smashed with draft picks and taxes. And then they have to get rid of a guy like Holder in the year that they're resetting. And then you have them making those decisions year over year because they do have some of the big contracts every year where in order to keep themselves at or just below the threshold, they're making the decision on that, $1 million guy who is the core of baseball and deserves to be paid that year over year, that needs to be protected. And they're making those decisions because they're getting taxed at 50 or 75% on every dollar they spend over, plus losing draft picks. The penalties are egregious for the teams that are going out and trying to compete. And if you blew that away, it's never going to go away completely. But if you shot that up to a point where the Yankees weren't worried about it, they would be spending money on that guy because the extra $1 million isn't the problem. It's the tax they have to pay on that. And then the draft picks they lose because of it. Because the Yankees, who are competing between, picking between 20 and 30 every year, can't afford to lose draft picks.
Yep. Yeah, man. It's I don't know. Like I almost want to bounce it back to you and be like, what? Like, does that conversation get talked about? Like, is that thought even like in the room right now? Because I feel like there's so many other issues that are around it that I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's the problem is you do have the conversations, but then there's just such a political issue between small market teams and large market teams and right. Such an unwillingness to change the system to a place that makes sense. There's a lot of logic that you feel like when you talk through it, you're like, oh yeah, that's dumb and it shouldn't work that way. And then the question of how do you fix it is the harder one to answer.
Yeah. Damn. Come on, baseball.
Let's end on a positive.
Yes.
At some point, baseball is going to be back.
Yeah.
And we're all going to come through New York and we're going to see the nice big office where Tom's sitting. We're going to have a great time.
Ready to roll it out. I don't know if modest is the right word or I'll eat some crow. I think you guys are right. Like we were behind on some of our compound love. So now we've had Tom working 24/7 on the poster. He does not sleep until that poster is made.
Big poster guy.
Committed
Tom
to
is.
that. Yeah, and I know we were flirting with an idea for you guys to come out, but yeah, man. I mean, our casa, su casa, and we'll do whatever with you boys. I mean, like I said, trying to get us into golf content so we could spin that into work somehow.
Yes.
I think that would be the win here, dude. Fucking Peter Moylan, dude. He's got it figured out, man. He's like, because he was on the Braves for so long and good Braves teams, and he's just a funny Aussie. He's so connected in like the Atlanta pro-am golf circuit. Like that dude can play any weekend and it's like, oh, who's in this group? Oh, is that Peter Moylan? Oh yeah, sure. He used to throw from down here, right? That's where I'm trying to get to. So I mean, we can do regular content, live streaming, any games, anything, whatever. It's an open door for the fellas,
I've already decided that my retirement plan is to just go around the country playing golf courses and say that it's something for Jomboy Media.
Done.
I don't know what it's going to be. Maybe I'll take Tom on the road with me and he'll just film all my shots and have to put it into a video and he'll get one view on YouTube. That's my retirement plan.
Am I still your caddy?
Yeah, you're my caddy. You're my guy.
All right, good. Thank you.
We'll get we'll get the Jomboy Media compound vehicle and we'll just send you guys around.
Just RV ourselves around the country.
Tom, you're going to have to drive and edit though. That's going to suck.
That's going to be hard, but like we can put it up on the screen, right? I don't need to look at the road. I'll just,
Yes.
I'll be editing. I'll just be going forward.
There'll be self-driving by then. Tesla will have an RV. It'll be fine.
We'll like hardwire a Tesla with Adobe Premiere, so it shouldn't be a problem. But yeah, man, no, I mean, shout out to your 5-iron golf. My game's so tight right now. I'm just dialed.
You're locked. You're absolutely locked.
I can't miss if I wanted to. I think it's the goatee a little bit too.
You look so good.
It's so bad.
Do not lie to him. Do not lie to him. In person,
I think he looks
brutal.
good. I think that's a signature look that could carry you a long way.
Just like a bad 90s Cubs relief pitcher, like Stromboli.
Rod Beck.
Oh, God. What an athlete.
Zach, you could grow a goatee like that.
His connects a little bit more than mine. No, it's
That's
probably
bad.
pretty similar.
A lot of action. A lot of action on the edges.
It's bad, man. It's
How
so
long have you been
bad.
growing it too? It's been like weeks.
I'm 32 years old, and this is my best goatee after like 3-4 weeks.
I love it.
For
I'm a-
gritted teeth.
Fucking love
Thank
that
you.
thing.
I needed that.
Thanks for coming on and chatting with us. We'll let you bounce, but I appreciate you wearing the jersey too. It means a
Hey,
lot.
best half hour of my life. Yeah, man, dude, the Cubs and Happer, I know you're part of this, but they were so nice to us when we were out there, but the game got banged because of rain. We were supposed to throw out the first pitch.
You had everything lined up.
That would be like the coolest moment of my life, and it just got banged and it's gone.
Oh,
Did you guys didn't get to throw the first pitch anywhere else, did you?
No. Shorty,
I was so dialed on that. I was like, shout out to Big Jim. When they were coming through, I was like, Jim, can you get these guys out there to throw first pitch? It'd be fucking great. And he was like, oh, done. And we had it all dialed, and then the heavens opened up and it rained like an absolute monsoon.
You got to
Dude,
get him this year, Ian.
We'll do it again.
we
Right
walked
back.
into the Cubs setup. They were hooking everything up. They're like, who needs what? Take us out to the warning track. Daniel Bard walks over. He's like, big fan of you guys. I was like, yeah, man. Sure. Yeah, hell yeah. I'm walking tall. We get interviewed by Taylor McGregor. She's doing the pregame show. And they're like, yeah, first pitch in a little bit. And then the skies opened up in a big way. But it was still
Hold on. You cut out Daniel Bard what he said to you after that.
What'd he say to me after that?
He said you guys looked really short in person. He couldn't believe how short you were.
Tom.
that's fucked up. Tom. Hey,
That's
Tom,
I gotta mention that. That's part of the story.
Daniel
Tom, we
Bard's
don't talk
also
height
sneaky
here.
tall.
Sneaky tall. And I don't know. I mean, haven't seen me and Nick Madrigal in the same room, have you?
Got a point.
Also, Jake, second point, you did throw out a first pitch this season, Hudson Valley. I mean, it was a minor league first pitch, but it left something to be desired.
Hey, that's the homeland there. That's
Yeah.
the homeland.
Hey, love the Hudson Valley Renegades. Wrigley a little higher on my list.
Just barely.
But-
it's like 1A, 1B.
Everyone was very nice at both locations. So that good days all around.
You're gonna have to work on it though. The first pitch at Hudson Valley was you left it elevated.
Yeah.
What's up?
I can't bounce it, Tom.
Tom, you're talking a lot of shit to the head of the
Yeah,
company
geez,
right now. A
Tom.
lot of
Tom's
shit.
you know,
He's a little
there's
comfortable, huh?
different respect levels for me and Jimmy, and part of me gets it. Part of me gets it, but you know what? It's all right. Tom's earning it. We're putting Tom through the ringer right now. So
We'll send you the timestamp on that text tonight when he gets the episode done.
Do
Better
it.
not be before 2 a.m.
Are we doing screens? Do I get to do that?
Yeah,
I
you want
never
to do
look at
screen
my.
time with us?
Let me see.
Sloan
Where is it
Screen
under
Time.
settings?
Brought to you by Sloan Valve. You ever seen a Sloan Valve? Little toilet or faucet?
Can I say so? We do have it in our bathroom here at the office. The
Yes, you
actual
do.
valve.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
That's why we
I
love
noticed it.
Sloan Valve.
Yep.
Love a good Sloan valve.
Sure, you're seeing it every day. What's your screen time? What do we got, boys?
So what am I looking at? Daily average?
No, just like today.
No,
you
go
can
to
click
go
on
to see
today.
activity, and then you'll be able to say what you have today.
Oh boy. It was a lazy Sunday. 5:25.
Ooh. Fuck.
Yeah.
534.
Fuck.
Ooh.
Ian.
236.
Bullshit. Okay, so
What's
you did nothing.
yours?
So you did nothing today. Tom, what was yours?
6:20.
Oh, let's
Oh
go.
my
6-7.
God.
Woo.
This
Hour,
isn't
7
early-
minutes.
This is an
Huge.
early recording too. You guys
Sunday.
are all bums.
It's not.
Sunday.
It's 7:15. It's Sunday.
You're
Why do
all
you guys
bums.
do this? This is tough to look at.
Sloan
it doesn't
screen
make
time,
you feel good
everybody.
about yourself.
Special guest.
That hour 40 minutes playing Bricks Ball Crusher. That's depressing in hindsight.
really got you. If
Jake
you
Jake loves that game. That should be a sponsor for Jomboy. Jake loves that game.
Yeah, I do.
if you start looking at your screen time, maybe once a day, once a
Ah.
week, it'll start coming down in a hurry because you'll start going, what am I doing with my life?
Bricks Ball Crusher, an hour 40.
What an ad for BBC. Oh,
Oh,
Hello.
hey.
hello.
No free ads. No free ads.
No free ad.
Not on the compound.
No.
That was the Sloan screen time. Don't get it confused.